Live from Michigan Avenue, this is Good Day Chicago.
Now on Good Day Chicago, while the state of Illinois is investigating a raid by federal agents at a South Shore apartment building.
An officer-involved shooting in Aurora turns deadly. What led to that incident?
And winter is back to pack a serious punch. Mike has much more on what we can expect. Good morning. Again, it is 5 a.m. on this Thursday morning, and welcome to Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson.
And I'm Gabriella Primus. A punch, to say the least. Yes. You know, Mike, every time you're giving your forecast, I'm kind of just shaking my head. No. I don't want it. No. I don't welcome it.
And that is a popular attitude, I think, among many. They're looking at all this. All I will say is things could be worse. This ice storm and snowstorm that's going to be hitting parts of the South where they don't have the equipment to deal with this, that is going to be much worse than what we're dealing with. And it's bad enough here. Now, today, getting the kids to school, and it's possible. Look, I'm not saying that there's not going to be school tomorrow, but there's a chance. Today is just plain cold. Bundle them up, full winter gear, 15 at 7, 22, cold and windy at noon, and then make sure the kiddos bundle up for that ride home. Temperatures will be, 23 degrees. That's not that bad for this time of year. Certainly not as bad as what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. These are the current numbers. 15 at O'Hare, a dozen at Woodstock, 18 at LaSalle, Peru, and also Gary and Merrillville. It is 16 in Chicago Heights, Benton Harbor, Michigan, 21. Winds still gusty. We got a 40-mile-an-hour wind right now at Gary's Airport. And with these strong winds, you guessed it, the wind chills are biting. Feels like 0 at O'Hare and Aurora, 3 below at Waukegan and Woodstock. Feels like 1 above at Valparaiso. And tomorrow, these wind chills are going to be 30 degrees plus colder than what you see right now. Gabriella, give us an update on that early morning commute. I can tell you that far north was bad for me.
And Mike, I'm kind of seeing that same thing indicated on some of my maps here. You don't necessarily see some of the less traveled roads on this overview map because we're looking at all the major expressways, tollways in our area with this, which are all in green. Luckily, they're well salted. Lots of our areas didn't get as much snow as we saw up in Lake County. But yeah, I'm seeing a slow go on some of those side streets. I will mention some overnight road work just because it might be still slowing you down for your early morning commute. Over on the southbound side of the Edens, Mike said he ran into this. It was County Line Road, a right lane taken away until around Tower Road, and then 2 spots on the northbound side, which include starting at Old Orchard Road, where a right lane was also closed, as well as at Elston Avenue. So kind of seems like a busy spot. That might continue into Friday and next week as well. Other than that, I'm not seeing any incidents. That's a good thing. I will mention, though, there is a train delay on BNSF. It's an inbound train. It's operating up to 30 minutes behind, and it's due to mechanical problems going on. We know that the trains don't like the cold.
And both Gabriella and Mike were mentioning some of our northern suburbs did get hit with a lot more snow last night.
Roseanne is live in Gurnee, where the shovels and scrapers are out in force, I bet.
Yes. Well, I would say that that's the greater Gurnee Metroplex, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Kaplan land, that's what he likes to call it. And that's where we are this morning, right at Grand Avenue and 94, where we found a beautiful blanket of snow. It's actually pretty as a picture. They have a couple of inches up here, and they're doing okay with the snow removal on the roads, which are looking pretty good. We've seen plows go by, and they appear to have been salted, so everything looking good. As for the neighborhoods, we haven't made it to a neighborhood. We're on our way to, we want to check that out because people are really going to need to get rid of this snow now, or they'll be stuck with it after well, right now it's freezing. It's going to be difficult if you wait long. You want to remove it while it's still fresh on the ground. So that's a situation here. It is still very cold. So, we're all worried about the cold that's coming. This isn't going to anything like that, but it is cold. Just a reminder today. So now the focus, as Mike said, really shifts to that bitter cold and people trying to find out what schools are going to be open. We're trying to monitor all of that situation to let our viewers know what's going to be open and what's going to be closed as we roll into the weekend. That's the situation in Gurnee right now. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Roseanne. Yeah, get that snow out of the way as soon as possible. All right, breaking news from overseas. President Trump and world leaders sign his proposed Board of Peace. This happened just moments ago at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The proposal is an alternative to NATO. 35 countries have reportedly agreed to be part of the project. Now, Russia wasn't invited but hasn't committed, and allies like the UK and France have declined to join. Norway and Sweden have indicated they won't participate. No word on what Canada or China plans to do.
Back here at home, the state of Illinois is launching an investigation into the raid of a South Shore apartment building by both ICE and Border Patrol. If you remember, this building was raided back on September the 30th, where armed federal agents repelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed into each of the building's 130 units. The state is investigating that the landlords of that building, alleging that they tipped off federal agents to try and intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from the building. Governor Pritzker released a statement saying, in part, state law prohibits discrimination, and that includes aiding or abetting conduct intended to interfere with housing and civil rights.
Closing arguments are expected today in the trial of a Chicago man accused in a murder-for-hire plot targeting Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. It's the first trial connected to Operation Midway Blitz. Prosecutors say Juan Espinoza Martinez sent out a bounty for Bovino. Martinez says he's not guilty. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison.
A man is dead after a shooting involving Aurora police. It happened just after 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Police said that they were called to the 300 block of South Broadway. When they got there, they found a man barricaded with a knife. Police fired shots, hitting the man at least once. An investigation is currently underway.
A fire leaves a suburban church destroyed. This was a scene in Ford Heights. Fire could be seen shooting through the roof of a True Light Temple of Praise Baptist Church. Nobody luckily was hurt in the fire. An investigation is now underway into that cause.
The city of Chicago is banning the sale of hemp, but there are some exceptions. The new law gives retailers until April to comply with the ban on hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8 and 9. This does not include hemp beverages and topical creams. The ordinance also bans all sales of hemp-derived weed to people 21 and under. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has some serious concerns about this move by City Council.
When you make something illegal, you inevitably create a black market. This makes the sale completely unregulated and uncontrolled.
He says the ordinance needs more time for discussion. A reward is being offered for a missing 16-year-old girl, but her mother says she just wants her home. Layla Underwood was last seen wearing a black jacket and black Crocs near West Cortez Street and Cicero in the West Humboldt Park neighborhood. The family says that this flyer shows a photo from the last time that she was seen. They're hoping that somebody provides information to find her.
I need the public to understand something very clearly. If you know something, anything, now is the time to speak up. You may think what you saw was small, you might think you're not sure, and you might be afraid to get involved. But I'm standing here begging you to understand. Any piece of information that saves my daughter's life is crucial.
Everybody that knows me, from the streets out here in Chicago, the back alleys all over the universe here in Chicago, if you know anything about Layla, do the right thing for me.
If you have any information on where she could be, please call Chicago Police.
A vote will be held today on the future of an elementary school in Evanston. Kingsley Elementary School could possibly close in June. Officials say it's due to cost cutting, as the district is looking to cut $11 million from the budget.
I will be sad if any of them lose their job and can't find another one. I hope they feel good inside because they are great teachers. Make sure each teacher gets another job, please.
The school is Title I, meaning they get funding for students from low-income households. We're hearing from some of the head honchos of the Bears, head coach Ben Johnson and general manager Ryan Poles, as they wrap up the season.
And getting a peek into what's to come in the future. Mike?
You know, these guys have reason to be happy, you know, all right? It didn't end the way we would have hoped, but it sure, you know, was much more than we expected. The Bears do face some tough questions, though, as they try to make another playoff run next year. They're going to have decisions to make on free agents, especially on defense. Now, the message at Hallis Hall yesterday was clear. They're going to have to continue to push forward in order to maintain success. One thing is certain, they're sold on Caleb Williams.
I'm really encouraged about the steps he took this year. I'm Caleb Williams' #1 believer.
Just his pocket presence, his ability to escape. I think that's a rare trait that he has. You saw that come alive.
You know, the other thing, he played every game. He played every game. He's tough. Free agency will open in the NFL in March. Speaking of deals, the Brewers are trading away an all-star pitcher. They're sending Freddie Peralta to the Mets. The Brewers are getting a couple of prospects in return. Peralta, a two-time all-star, led the National League with 17 wins last season, and he finished 5th in Cy Young voting. It'd be good that the Cubs don't have to face him as often. All right, the Knicks made franchise history with their win over the Nets last night. They dominated the whole game, ended up winning by 54. 120-66. That is the largest margin of victory in Knicks franchise history. To college hoops. Illinois hosted Maryland. This one was all Illini. They led by double digits most of the game, and they did so without senior guard Kylan Boswell. Big night for Stojakovic, though. The Illini win 89-70. They are now 16-3 on the season. How about another Illinois Big Ten team? Northwestern out west taking on USC. Nick Martinelli with a big game for the Cats. He is still the Big Ten leading scorer, recording his 10th straight game with at least 20. Northwestern gets its first conference win, ending a 5-game skid, 74-68. Congrats to them. All right, let's take a look outside. Look at that picture there. Now squint. Look kind of almost top center. Do you see a little star there, which isn't really a star? See a bright white point of light in that shot?
Kind of.
Kind of. That's the planet Jupiter. Doesn't show up to that. I mean, I can see a little better because I'm staring at this thing right over here, but that is Jupiter hanging out there. Skies are clear. We've done away with these snow showers, which deposited some really respectable snow in a short period of time last night in northern Lake County. I ended up with about 2.5 inches of snow on the ground. I'm sure we're going to hear more from Roseanne in a little bit. Now our main focus, at least in like the next 24 to 36 hours, is on temperatures and the wind chill. In blue, an extreme cold warning now for pretty much all of the Illinois side of Chicagoland. Northwest Indiana, this is just a cold weather advisory for all of you in Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Newton, Jasper, Berrien County. Do not think that there's a huge difference here. It's not like you go from here and, oh, it's just kind of cold, and then, ooh, it's really cold. Everywhere in Chicagoland, extreme and dangerous levels of wind chill. If you are outside for any period of time and your skin is not covered, it can freeze in just a matter of minutes in the type of air we're going to be dealing with really tomorrow morning. There you see the snow shower activity getting on out of here. We could see a flurry or maybe another snow shower coming in during the afternoon. Not a big deal, not as much as what happened last night in some spots, but there you see about 4 o'clock, a couple of snow showers coming through here. By 8 o'clock, it should be gone, and gone too will be above 0 temperatures. Tonight, temperatures will drop to well below 0. Winds will be strong enough to get the wind chill to -35. I really think tomorrow morning, all day tomorrow, wind chills are going to be 20 below 0 or worse. And then you can kind of see the beginnings of this next storm system. Pink is ice, blue is snow. And take a look at that snow. Where is the latitude of snow? Getting very close to us. And I have snow in my forecast Saturday and Sunday. And I think it's going to stick, and there's going to be some lake enhancement to deal with. We'll give you the 7-day forecast in just a couple of minutes. Back to you both.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Coming up, President Trump is busy again this morning at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland.
After the break, we're talking with Fox political analyst Doug Luzader.
I'm John Morgan.
Now in Good Day Chicago, a blanket of snow overnight in the northern suburbs. People are waking up in areas like Gurnee to 2 inches of snow. And it's cold on top of it with temperatures in the 20s. But tomorrow, sorry to say, it's going to be worse. Mike will have details on the extreme cold warning coming up.
We're also following some breaking news. President Trump and world leaders signed his proposed Board of Peace. This happened just moments ago at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The proposal could be seen as an alternative to NATO. 36 countries have reportedly agreed to be part of this project.
The state of Illinois is launching an investigation into the raid of a South Shore apartment building by ICE and Border Patrol. The building was raided back on September 30th. The state is investigating the landlords of that building, alleging they tipped off federal agents to try to intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from that building. There will be no U.S. invasion of Greenland, and President Trump may be backing away from another tariff battle with Europe.
Those were some of the big developments coming from the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. Our Douglas Zader joins us live from Washington this morning. And just moments ago, President Trump launched the Board of Peace at a signing ceremony. So what was the purpose of this board and what was it created for?
Well, the president's been talking about this for a little while. I mean, this was the result of the peace effort in Israel. And, you know, it really is initially focused on rebuilding Gaza. Since then, its goals seem to have expanded somewhat. Now, as far as membership is concerned, I think they're, at 35 countries, something like that. Some countries are kind of keeping their distance. The president seems to be pretty ambitious with ultimately what he sees for this board. You know, there was some speculation that he might envision it as ultimately replacing the United Nations. Now he's talking about more working kind of hand in hand with the UN. But it is still kind of a work in progress, and they had this signing ceremony this morning there in Davos.
All right, Doug, what do we know, if anything, about this deal regarding Greenland?
Well, not much, other than the fact that there is some kind of a framework that seems to fall well short of what the president said over and over again that he wanted, which was essentially title and deed to Greenland. This would apparently, you know, by everything we can divine right now, would involve more limited U.S. access to potentially more bases there in Greenland. So it would be very much more of a security deal than just a straight all-out land deal. Now, you know, there's going to be a question here of whether Denmark and Greenland will sign off on this, because we don't know if, in fact, they're going to be open to this agreement. This seems to have been largely negotiated between the United States and NATO. Still, it does offer an off-ramp that a lot of folks were hoping for here, that would not include the imposition, apparently, of a new tariff starting in February.
Definitely a lot of news coming out of Switzerland and President Trump's first international trip of the new year. Doug, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Mike, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think many people are going to be thanking you for these temperatures.
I see how it is. I see how it is.
You know what?
Fair weather friends you are, huh? You loved me when it was 50.
That is true.
All right, look, it's January in Chicago. We're going to get through this thing, but it's going to be painful. We have some really rough weather coming up the next few days. Not as rough, perhaps, as some of our states to the south, but still bad enough. These are the current temperatures. Not all that cold for this time of year. 14 at Aurora, 12 at Waukegan, where you picked up a little more than 2 inches of snow, including another hit of some heavy snow around midnight. 19 in Michigan City, 17 in Maryville, and also in Morris this morning, where skies are clear, but don't let that early morning sunshine fool you. It is going to be cold today. Winds, these are the strong gusts. We got a 40-mile-an-hour gust right now at Gary's Airport, a 23-mile-per-hour gust at UGN, be Waukegan's airport. So the wind chills pretty close to zero. A few spots are below zero, including Woodstock, Waukegan, DeKalb, Rockford. Feels like 3 above at Chicago Heights and 1 above at Valparaiso. Chicken feed compared with what is on the way. So let's deal with it. Forecast, wind chill. We will have wind chills today, briefly getting into the double digits, and then tonight quickly dropping 2 or below 0. This is 8 o'clock, already looking at 1 below 0 wind chill at O'Hare, and it gets worse from there. Eye-poppingly cold. This is tomorrow morning, roughly daybreak, and widespread 30 below 0 wind chills or worse, and in the spots that aren't 30 below 0, it's about 25 below 0, and all day long. It is going to stay painfully cold to be outside, I think with wind chills very close to 20 below 0. And it'll be another cold night tomorrow night into Saturday morning, just not as harsh. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to get this extreme cold warning, 3 a.m. to noon. That will be followed up with a cold weather advisory for the rest of Friday into Saturday morning. I'm banking on that happening. 24 today, west winds 15 to 30. We have sunshine in the morning and cloud cover coming in the afternoon. Let's check the roads. I see one crash on the map. Gabriella?
Yeah, Mike, and you know what? That's one that I guess has stuck around for a couple hours now. It's Elston and Ashland. This is just, east of the Kennedy. Crews remain on scene of an earlier crash involving a pickup truck. The truck was heavily damaged, so looks like there might be cleaning up some debris, getting that out of the way here for the height of your morning commute. And then we have a new one reported. I'm, trying to locate it really. I think it's in the Bensonville area. It's Route 83, so that's, Kingery Highway and 3rd Avenue. But yeah, it looks like it's kind of closer to one of those intersections, possibly Jefferson Street. So please be aware of that. Know that there's a little bit of stop and go in that area, even early this morning.
Coming up, a jury issues a ruling in the trial of a former Uvalde, Texas police officer responding to the mass shooting at an elementary school in 2022.
And lawmakers on Capitol Hill will soon hear from Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. We'll have the details coming up.
This program on Fox 32 is brought to you by the
A former Uvalde, Texas school police officer has been found not guilty of failing his duties during the mass shooting in 2022. A gunman opened fire in an elementary school, killing 19 kids and 2 teachers. Prosecutors argued Adrian Gonzalez abandoned his training and never tried to stop the gunman before he walked into the school. But the defense argued Gonzalez didn't see the shooter, and he later risked his life with 5 other officers to try and save students.
Vice President J.D. Vance will hold a roundtable with political and community leaders in Minneapolis later today. Reports say that he will highlight the administration's commitment to restoring law and order in the city. Tensions are still high over ongoing ICE operations. The DOJ issued subpoenas to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other prominent state officials who are allegedly impeding federal law enforcement officers.
A new internal ICE memo is raising questions. The memo, obtained by the Associated Press, gives agents the power to forcibly enter a residence without prior authorization from a judge. It's a move that critics say goes against the Fourth Amendment. The change comes as the Trump administration expands immigration arrests across the country.
The House Oversight Committee is set to hear from Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell has agreed to comply with a subpoena that will be deposed virtually from a Texas federal prison on February the 9th. But her attorney says that she plans to just plead the fifth, calling the proceeding political theater and a waste of taxpayer dollars.
526 now. You know, when we're hearing from Roseanne, and we're going to hear from her in just a second again, up in Gurnee, Mike, I was thinking about Mrs. C. She better get on that snow removal pretty quick because it's just going to freeze, right?
No kidding. She had better get on with that program.
Does she have one of those electric shovels?
I was telling Brian about
Yeah, I was just looking it up.
No.
Maybe worth the investment.
We have a couple of different snow blowers. We got a big two-stage and then a smaller one.
You know, he's fancy.
And the other thing that we've done is we've bought some of these little heat mats to put like out on the porch and stuff. They're electric. You got to plug them in, but they melt like, you know, all that snow away. Yeah, right around that area. So prevents ice from forming, and we like those. All right, I'm going to show you the national map because finally we've got really some big winter going on. There have been some hits here and there, but this is going to be a storm system that is coupling polar vortex cold coming in from the north with a moisture-rich system moving in from the south. Consequently, what you have here is all of these light blue areas from Dallas to Nashville to Raleigh-Durham to New York. This is all winter storm watch. That is going to change almost certainly to winter storm warnings, as we're already seeing issued out there in parts of Oklahoma. Then north of that is where the cold takes center stage, and that includes in the Chicago area where, as we've been advertising, it is an extreme cold warning. Wind chills 30 below zero or worse in the blue, and then not a big difference, cold weather advisory in northwest Indiana. But here's the deal. While cold is going to take center stage early on, I am expecting snow to be falling here at times over the weekend. And I'm not talking about flurries. I'm talking about an area-wide accumulating snow, with the heaviest snow likely to be on the Illinois side of Lake Michigan, where it could be a half foot or so. So that's going to be something that we're going to be watching closely. Today, 24, maybe a snow shower in the late afternoon, early evening hours shouldn't be a big deal. Just really cold. 8 below tomorrow morning, a high of 0, another sub-zero low Saturday morning. And then here comes snow Saturday, especially late into Sunday, where I think several inches are likely. And then it's just plain cold Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. No rest for the weary here, and no signs of spring anytime soon. Back to you both.
All right, Mike.
We'll make it through. Just a couple of days, right? Stick around. We got more news, weather, and traffic still to come this morning.
We will see. Now in Good Day Chicago, more overnight snow, especially in those northern suburbs, all ahead of the extreme cold on the way.
Also, while the state of Illinois is investigating a raid by federal agents at a South Shore apartment building.
And President Trump launches his Board of Peace, but several countries are not jumping on board. Mike.
All right, it is just plain cold out there right now. We're going to have some morning sunshine, but intense cold is on the way, and I think weekend snow is on the way for us here in Chicagoland. I've got the complete forecast picture for you in a little bit. It's not pretty. Let's see if the traffic picture is any better. Gabriella, what's the latest?
Mike, we're looking much better here on our map, although I will report a water main break repair that's going on in Norwood Park. It's at Harlem Avenue and Thorndale Avenue, and keep that in mind, please. And then also we're still talking about that earlier crash involving a pickup truck. It's at Elston and Ashland. That's what you're seeing. It looks like on the Kennedy, but it's actually just east of the Kennedy there. Crews are still on scene cleaning that up. But obviously some areas saw more snow overnight than just the city, especially to the north.
And that is where we find Roseanne, who is live in Gurnee this morning with how the conditions are looking there. Roseanne?
Right. Well, here at Grand Avenue in 94, we're seeing a couple of inches of snow. And, you know, I'm in a parking lot now at a gas station, and they have plowed most of it. But it you know, obviously snowed again, and they got another layer. So it's not too bad here. The roads are clear, but there is a beautiful coating of snow on the ground here in Gurnee. So we've been trying to talk to people this morning. They're rushing off to work. We did talk to a couple people who didn't want to go on camera. One man had a jet-powered salt truck. I guess they spray salt through pipes, and he was working on the car wash, I think, here. Anyways, he said, I'm way too busy, had that frantic look of a man who had a lot of jobs ahead of him. But then we talked to a truck driver who was just too shy to go on camera. But he said, you know, that it's been a brutal winter. I'm like, how are you going to get through the next few days when it gets cold? He's leaving for Mexico in the morning. Actually, I think maybe tonight. I hope that his flight gets off because he has got 1 foot, you know, in Mexico this morning, dreaming of getting out of this awfully cold weather. So they are getting ready for that freezing cold here. Again, the second part of the 1-2 punch that they're getting to start the weekend here in the Gurnee area. Once again, this is 9 days now, 9 days in a row that the Chicago area has received some level of snow. Now our attention focusing to the bitter cold and those nose-diving temperatures. Back to you now in the studio.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. Time is now 5:34 this morning. The state of Illinois is launching an investigation into the raid of a South Shore apartment building by ICE and Border Patrol. The building was raided on September the 30th when armed federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed into each of the 130 units. The state is investigating the landlords of that building, alleging they tipped off federal agents to try and intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from the building. Governor Pritzker released a statement saying, in part, state law prohibits discrimination, and that includes aiding or abetting conduct intended to interfere with housing and civil rights.
Closing arguments are expected today in the trial of a Chicago man accused in a murder-for-hire plot targeting Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. It's the first trial connected to Operation Midway Blitz. Prosecutors say Juan Espinoza Martinez sent out a bounty for Bovino. Martinez says he's not guilty. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison.
A man is dead after a shooting involving Aurora police. It happened just after 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Police said that they were called to the 300 block of South Broadway. When they got there, they found a man barricaded with a knife. Police fired shots, hitting the man at least once. An investigation is currently underway.
A fire leaves a suburban church destroyed. This was a scene in Ford Heights. Fire could be seen shooting through the roof of the True Light Temple of Praise Baptist Church. Nobody, thankfully, was hurt in this fire. An investigation is now underway into the cause.
The city of Chicago is banning the sale of hemp, but there are some exceptions. The new law gives retailers until April to comply with the ban on hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8-9. This does not include hemp beverages or topical creams. The ordinance also bans all sales of hemp-derived weed to people 21 and under. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has some serious concerns about this move by City Council.
When you make something illegal, you inevitably create a black market. This makes the sale completely unregulated and uncontrolled.
Mayor Johnson says that this ordinance needs more time for discussion.
We do have some breaking news from overseas. President Trump and world leaders signed his proposed Board of Peace. This happened moments ago at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The board was crafted as part of a peace plan in Gaza, but it could be seen as an alternative to NATO. 35 countries have reportedly agreed to be part of this project. Russia wasn't invited but hasn't committed, and allies with the UK and France have declined to join. Norway and Sweden have indicated they won't participate. No word on what Canada or China plans to do. President Trump also says he's worked on a framework for a deal on Greenland with NATO's Security Secretary General that includes security and mineral rights. He's been speaking with European leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. During his speech yesterday, he ruled out using military force to acquire the island from NATO ally Denmark. He also backed away from his threats to impose tariffs on NATO members who oppose the takeover, opting for diplomacy instead.
Really fantastic for the USA. Gets everything we wanted, including especially real national security and international security.
We basically discussed how can we implement the president's vision on protecting, yes, Greenland, but of course it is not only Greenland, it is the whole Arctic.
Very few details about the potential deal on Greenland have been released.
A reward is being offered for a missing 16-year-old girl, but her mother says she just wants her home. Layla Underwood was last seen wearing a black jacket and black Crocs near West Cortez Street and Cicero in the West Humboldt Park neighborhood. The family says that this flyer, which shows a photo from the last time that she was seen, they're hoping that somebody provides information to help find her.
I need the public to understand something very clearly. If you know something, anything, now is the time to speak up. You may think what you saw was small. You might think you're not sure, and you might be afraid to get involved. But I'm standing here begging you to understand any piece of information that saves my daughter's life is crucial.
Everybody that knows me, from the streets out here in Chicago, the back alleys all over the universe here in Chicago, if you know anything about Layla, do the right thing for me.
If you have any information on where she could be, please call Chicago Police.
A vote will be held today on the future of an elementary school in Evanston. Kingsley Elementary School could possibly close in June. Officials say it's due to cost cutting, as the district is looking to cut $11 million from the budget. The school is Title I, meaning they get funding for students from low-income households.
Heads up for train commuters. Both the Metro and South Shore lines are reducing service because of the extreme cold that's on the way. This will start on Friday, where Metro's schedule will look similar to what is usually offered on Saturdays and Sundays. Also on Friday, the South Shore line will be operating on their weekend holiday schedule. You can find those full schedules online.
Okay, it looks like they're getting ahead of it because we know that these trains and humans do not like the cold.
No. And, let's not forget about pets. Don't keep your dog outside for any period of time.
Bring him in.
Yeah, your dog. And, if you walk your dog like we do, your dog is going to go out there and say, I'll be right finished.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with it. Let's get this done right about now. All right, let's get the kids to school today because I predict a lot of schools are going to be doing a little e-learning tomorrow, and obviously we're going to keep you posted here through our means. It probably won't be running that crawl at the bottom of the screen showing every school closing, but online we're going to let you know tomorrow. 15 full winter gear this morning, 7 o'clock, partly sunny skies on the way. 22, cold and windy at noon. And then that ride home, cold, a little bit cloudier, but temperatures will at least be in the 20s, and that's about as warm as it's going to be anytime soon. 17 at Midway, 11 Woodstock, 13 at DeKalb, 18 at Gary, Michigan City 19. DeKalb, you picked up about an inch of snow last night. I got 2.5 at my place in northern Lake County. Winds are gusting right now, mainly out of the west, and with that wind coupled with the cold temperatures, we have just kind of semi-rough wind chills. Feels like 7 below at Woodstock. That's bad enough. 0's wind chill at O'Hare. But this is nothing compared to the wind chills that are on the way. That's why an extreme cold warning will be in effect for the Illinois part of Chicagoland, 3 a.m. to noon. Cold weather advisory for the Indiana part of Chicagoland. That also in effect until noon tomorrow. Today we'll hit 24, west winds 15 to 30, keeping that wind chill single digits all day long. Sunshine early, clouds late. probably going to be a 3 to 4 hour period of some snow showers, not as heavy as last night, but probably between about 4 and 8. 8 below for the low by tomorrow morning, with wind chills as bad as 35 below zero. And I think all day tomorrow, it's 20 below zero or worse in the wind chill department, and an actual high of 0. 10 on Saturday, and I think it's snowing here Saturday and Sunday, accumulating snows at that, and possibly disruptive snowfall in Chicagoland. 5:42, we'll be back right after this.
People don't talk about society and reducing crime.
President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner are set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow today. They're expected to discuss a possible peace deal to end the war in Ukraine. Witkoff says that he also plans to meet with Ukrainian leaders a little bit later. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to meet with President Trump in Switzerland later this week.
A former Uvalde, Texas school police officer has been found not guilty of failing his duties during the mass shooting in 2022. A gunman opened fire in an elementary school, killing 19 kids and 2 teachers. Prosecutors argued Adrian Gonzalez abandoned his training and never tried to stop the gunman before he walked into the school. But the defense argued Gonzalez didn't see the shooter, and he later risked his life with 5 other officers to try and save students.
Vice President J.D. Vance will be holding a roundtable with political and community leaders in Minneapolis today. According to reports, he'll highlight the administration's commitment to restoring law and order in the city. Tensions there are still very high over ongoing ICE operations. The DOJ issued subpoenas to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other prominent state officials for allegedly impeding federal law enforcement officers. It appears Fed Governor Lisa Cook might be able to keep her job. During a hearing on Wednesday, the U.S. Supreme Court cast some doubt on President Trump's bid to fire Cook. The justices heard arguments over Trump's efforts based on allegations that she committed mortgage fraud. No president has ever fired a sitting governor in the 112-year history of the Fed. A ruling is expected by June. Time now 5:46 this morning. Bundle up out there. We got much more in the cold, as well as your latest news updates still to come this morning.
Fox 32 News.
Now in Good Day Chicago, a blanket of snow overnight in the northern suburbs. People are waking up in areas like Gurnee to 2 inches of snow, and it's cold on top of it with temperatures in the 20s. But tomorrow, sorry to say, is going to be even worse. Mike will have details on the extreme cold warning coming up.
We also have some breaking news. President Trump and world leaders signed his proposed border peace. This happened earlier this morning at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. This proposal could be seen as an alternative to NATO. So far, 35 countries have reportedly agreed to be part of this project.
The state of Illinois is launching an investigation into the raid of a South Shore apartment building by ICE and Border Patrol. The building was raided back on September 30th. The state is investigating the landlords of that building, alleging that they tipped off federal agents to try and intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from the building.
Former NFL sideline reporter Michelle Tafoya is launching a campaign for U.S. Senate. She is seeking the Republican nomination for the Minnesota seat that's being vacated by retiring Democratic Senator Tina Smith. If Tafoya wins, she would be the first Republican to be elected as a senator from Minnesota since 2003.
All right, drum roll, please. We'll know which movies and stars are up for this year's Oscars. The nominees will be revealed later this morning. The 98th Academy Awards air Sunday, March 15th, with Conan O'Brien returning as host. Taylor Swift is joining an esteemed list of fellow artists. This summer, she'll be inducted to the Songwriters Hall of Fame. She'll be the youngest female artist ever to achieve that honor. Her fellow inductees include Alanis Morissette, Kenny Loggins, and Paul Stanley, and Gene Simmons of Kiss.
How would you feel better about your favorite sports team losing if you got a refund for your tickets as well? Well, Manchester City's captains are offering a payback to their soccer fans after being upset in Norway. Club's leaders say that they'll refund tickets for nearly 400 supporters who traveled to the Arctic Circle for the 3-1 Champions League defeat. That averages out, though, to about $36 per person. I'm pretty sure they can afford it. Waddy Thornton Distilling Company stands on the site of the oldest brewery in the state of Illinois. opening up way back in the 1850s.
It is obviously rich in history, and a new discovery has them looking more back in time. A chrome-plated vintage Colt 1908 pistol linked to the days of notorious Chicagoland gangster Al Capone was found near their artisan well. Distillery founder Andrew Howell has been down to that well many times, he says, and is still surprised by the discovery.
I can't believe it's in such good condition. The way it was like sealed in the wall was like just like, there's moisture down there, but like when we remove the little bit of mortar, it's like really dry in there. There's a giant void in there. So we're going to investigate that a little bit further.
Once the Colt is fully restored, they plan to add it to the many collectibles found in Thornton to be enjoyed during guided tours of the distillery.
Who knows what else could be in that well? A treasure trove of, ancient artifacts, Mike.
Well, it makes you wonder, what was that gun possibly used for?
I wasn't going to go.
That it was in a well? I'm just thinking, something
I
like
didn't see anything.
Yeah, whoa, no.
What gun?
Yeah, that gun's got some history to it.
Yes.
All right, we have some really cold weather on the way. I mentioned this yesterday. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the next 2 days are climatologically, based on all of our weather records, they're the 5 coldest days of the year usually, and so it's kind of fitting that the coldest weather is arriving tomorrow. Right now, it's just plain cold. 18 at Joliet, 12 at Waukegan, where you picked up a couple of inches of snow overnight, 17 in Merrillville. Of course, it is windy out there, so we're producing a wind chill. Feels like 0 at O'Hare and Aurora, 4 below at Woodstock, 4 above at Rensselaer, and in Gary, the wind chill is 3 degrees above 0. It's still hat and gloves territory if you're going to spend any kind of time outside. We'll have some sunshine this morning. Cloud cover will thicken up this afternoon, and I do believe there's going to be about a 4-hour period of time where some snow showers will cross the area. They do not look as heavy as what a lot of us endured yesterday, and by 8, 9 o'clock, they're gone. That's tied to the Arctic front. Now, for those of you on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, you may be dealing with some lake effect snow, especially Berrien County, Michigan, not so much in northwest Indiana. And tomorrow, it's going to be just a brutally cold day, but we'll have sunshine all day long. Temperatures will be at or below 0, and we'll have wind chills worse than 20 below 0. Then watch what happens to this lake effect. See how it's starting to migrate to the west? And that is in response to this, a storm system that I believe is going to deposit sticking snow in Chicagoland Saturday and Sunday. 24 today, west winds at 15 to 30, cold enough. A few very late afternoon snow showers ending by about 8 o'clock tonight. We're dropping to 8 below 0 tomorrow morning. Few spots, 10, 11, 12 below 0 in the far northern suburbs, especially where you picked up a couple of inches of snow last night. 0 for the high tomorrow. Wind chills all day long, 20 below 0, but that extreme cold warning, 3 a.m. to noon for essentially all the Illinois counties. But if you're in northwest Indiana, it's not going to be any better. There's that snow, sticking snow, Saturday and Sunday. Long duration event, heaviest snow near the lake, and temperatures staying well below normal, I think, all of next week. I've got a photo and I think a video to share with you here. This is from me last night. Mrs. C and I went out to dinner last night. We had some salads. This is where, Brian, you and I had lunch that one day. I was outside and I knew the snow was coming, so I went out there and took a little video of the big, huge dendritic snowflakes coming down. Ended up with more than 2 inches of snow as a result of that. And then, do we have one more picture coming up, or is that it? I can't even remember. That's it. And that's enough. I don't want to see any more of that anyway. All right, 5:56. We're going to come back with more of Good Day as Natalie and Anthony take the reins of the broadcast. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Here's the latest on Good Day Chicago just before 6 a.m.
The federal government is giving up on its claim that Meta broke antitrust laws. The FTC has filed to appeal a verdict from last year. In that case, a federal judge found that Meta did not break those laws when it bought